Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up tonight to YouTube and Facebook to our presentation tonight here at BSS. And I want to start with the opening prayer before we begin our work of tonight. I invite you to close your eyes, to pay attention to your body, and slowly calm yourself and open your mind and heart to our mentors and spiritual friends. Let's all imagine Jesus, our master and guide, hugging us, elevating our vibrations, opening our minds and hearts for the study and presentation of tonight. Thank you, your Master and Guide Jesus, for being with us, believing in us, guiding us throughout the times, and always being on our side, helping us. And with that, I ask permission to start our study of tonight. So tonight, we're going to have Lais Soares presenting to us the Divine Talisman. And I want to welcome Lais. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafael. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. All right. So, the Divine Talisman. You might be asking yourselves, what is it, right? I hope you're curious. This talk was inspired by a story that I read in a book called Jesus in the Home. This book was written by our famous medium, Chico Xavier, through psychography or channeled writing. And the spirit author is Neo Lúcio. Many of Chico Xavier's books have been translated into English. He has more than 400 books in Portuguese through his mediumship. This one was not translated yet. And one of the most famous books is the one here on the side called Nosso Lar, which was turned into a movie, and I recommend it. Just Google Nosso Lar and Astral City and you'll find the movie. Now, that being said, let's begin the story. This is a story that inspired me for this talk tonight, the Divine Talisman. It's important to contextualize where and how this story happened. In the book, Jesus in the Home, the spirit author reveals many short lessons given by Jesus in the house of the Apostle Peter, where Jesus used to live for a period of time. And in this house, it was a custom that many people, friends, families, the apostles and their families, would come in the evenings to listen to Jesus' teachings and just to engage in elevating conversations. So, this evening, the conversation was about the sublime faculties that Jesus possessed as he cured so many sick people, the so-called miracles. So, at this moment, Mary Salome, the mother of John and James, and here I am going to stop a little bit just to tell you a little story that happened to Mary Salome one time. And this is in another book, also by the mediumship of Chico Xavier, This book is called Good News, and I think this one is translated into English. Yes, it is. And so Mary Salome is the mother of John and James. And in this other book, Good News, I think chapter 4, if I'm not wrong, Jesus is gathering his apostles, choosing his apostles, right? And then John and James go home, and when they get home, they tell their mother, Mary Salome, that they were chosen by Jesus to follow him, to work with him. And Mary gets all excited because, oh my goodness, this Jesus, he might be a prince. He says about a kingdom that's coming. And so she goes to talk to Jesus the next day. And, she asks him, can you please let my two sons be on one on your left side and one on your right side? And what was she thinking? The power, right? The power, the earthly powers. And then Jesus tells her, there were many people there. He was teaching, and he just tells her, if they can drink from the same cup that I drink, meaning if they can endure what I'm going to endure. She didn't understand. She felt embarrassed. She didn't want to ask anymore because there were many people around, and she just went home. But she asked Zebedee, or ZBD, I think that's how you pronounce it in English. So she asked her husband, please go talk to Jesus because you need to convince him that he's going to let our sons be on his left side and his right side and be very important with him. And so Zebedee went the next day to talk to Jesus. He went to Peter's house to talk to Jesus. And, after the whole conversation, just making the long story short, Jesus convinced him. And Zebedee left Peter's house very happy in his heart, knowing that, being certain that Jesus doesn't want the power of this world. He was not talking about the kingdoms of this world. He was not talking about politics or treasures that we can find in this world. And that he was going to conquer and bring the kingdom of God into men's hearts. So he went home very happy, and before he went home, he told Jesus, please take my two sons with you to work with you, and I will follow your teachings too. The rest of the story, it doesn't tell at the end of the story what happened to Mary Salome. But I kept thinking inside myself, if she got disappointed or not when Zebedee got home. And, she found out that he didn't get what she wanted, right? That was not the case, what she wanted. And so here again, Mary Salome, the same person, the same woman, the mother of John and James, she asked during this conversation, Lord, would you have any talisman with virtues from which we can benefit? We know that Jesus made many cures. Any magic object that can favor us, please. And Jesus rested his penetrating eyes on the respectable woman and spoke with a smile. Actually, I know of a talisman of awesome power. A talisman of an awesome power. Now, this is Jesus talking, people. Let's listen. Please pay close attention as I read the story, as I read the description of this powerful talisman that Jesus is saying to Mary. Using its miraculous resources, it is possible to begin the acquisition of all the gifts of our Father. It offers the discovery of the treasures of love that shine around us without our prompt awareness of its greatness. It reveals the understanding in which disharmony punishes the hearts. It opens the door to the revelations of art and science. It extends possibilities of luminous communion with the divine sources of life. It invites us to the blessing of meditation on sacred things. It rekindles friendships. It unravels paths of light to the spirits that linger in the shadows. It allows blessed seedlings of joy. It offers countless opportunities for peace with everyone. It provides a vast network for constructive deeds. It reveals 1,000 ways to enrich the life we live. It facilitates the soul's access to the thoughts of the greatest masters. It allows communication with the heavenly springs of intuition. Wow! What a powerful talisman it is, huh? This is not the story anymore. Now this is me talking. I hope you all want to know what this talisman is. But before we find out what this talisman could be, let's just define talisman. So the definition of a talisman is an object that is thought to have magic powers and to bring good luck. It can also be a symbol or representation, such as images of saints or gods, crystals, stones, roots, plants, and mixtures, numbers or sequence of numbers, and so on. The functions of a talisman are usually to stimulate health, avoid danger, protect against negative forces, and any other individual perceptions and understandings according to cultural beliefs. Now, what does Spiritism say regarding talismans? And researching about it, I found in the Spiritist Review, the Journal of Psychological Studies of November 1858, I found an interesting story. And it was about, it was entitled The Talisman's Kabbalistic Medal. And I'm going to summarize it for you. I took notes to make sure that I have all the facts here. So it's about a medal that was bought in an antique shop by a man named Mr. M. The article just names this person Mr. M. It was a remarkable object with bizarre characters in a language similar to Arabic, all arranged in a Kabbalistic way. And Mr. M got some contradicting opinions about this object. He consulted 3 mediums, and each one of them gave him different opinions regarding the object. One said that it was made of 7 metals and that it had the power of attracting the spirits, facilitating evocations. Another medium told him that the object was a malefic thing and that it would attract demons. Yet another medium told him that the medal had a magnetic virtue and that it could provoke somnambulism. So, unsatisfied with those contradictory answers, Mr. M showed the medal to Allan Kardec, requesting his opinion about it. He is a part of Allan Kardec's answer. He says, the spirits are attracted or repelled through thought, not through material objects that have no influence on them. The superior spirits, he continued, have condemned at all times the use of signs and Kabbalistic forms, and every spirit who attributes any power or that intend to give talismans that denote magic power reveal their own inferiority, acting in good faith or out of pure ignorance, driven by old earthly prejudices that they still carry, or when consciously they play with people's beliefs. Also, from the Medium's book, part 2 of chapter 25, there are some questions regarding evocations, and question 17 says, have certain objects such as medallions and talismans the property of attracting or repelling spirits, as some pretend? And the answer is, this is a useless question, for you know very well that matter has no action on spirits. Be very sure that no good spirit ever advises such absurdities. The virtue of talismans, or whatever nature they be, has never existed save in the imaginations of credulous people. Now, of course, if anyone is interested, you can find more articles, and there are many, many articles on this topic by searching the word talisman in this site that I found, Kardecpedia. Have you ever seen this site? So it's a very good site. It has the Medium's book, it has the Spirit's book, it has all the books by Allan Kardec, and also the magazines. And so there are many there, but this is not the goal of this study here tonight, because we want to focus on that message. Remember, the story that Jesus was describing this talisman, right? So, but if you want to know more about it, and also more detailed information of objects that are magnetized, that's something else, okay? And so you can find more about it. Maybe Raphael can talk about it one day. So, all right, so through spiritist studies, we know that the spirits do not need material objects to influence us. Then, what is this powerful talisman that Jesus is talking about in this story, right? Now, let's remember the beginning of the story. What was the conversation about? They were talking about Jesus' ability to cure the sick, right? So, Mary Salome asked if Jesus would have any talisman which would have the virtues to benefit whoever would possess it. Okay, so we need to also remember that Jesus is our model and our guide. Just like with a very good inspiration Raphael mentioned in the prayer that he did in the beginning. So, Jesus is our model and our guide, as it is in the question 625 in the Spirit's book, right? So, Salome talks about an earthly object or representation, right? While we can just say that Jesus, on the other hand, reveals the truth and just the truth, which is not of this realm we're living in. Because Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world. So let's dig deeper and reflect upon some of the descriptions of the powers of this divine talisman Jesus talks about in this lesson brought to us by the Spirit Neo Lucio. I chose some sentences for us to ponder upon. So then let's see the first sentence that I chose here. So Jesus says that this talisman offers the discovery of the treasures of love that shine around us without our prompt awareness of their greatness. This sentence brings this image to my mind. Okay? Because when it says that this talisman helps us discover the treasures of love that shine around us without our prompt awareness. So, are we always with our minds full of stuff? Or are we mindful of the things that are around us, the beauty that's around us, the love that's around and inside of us, right? So, on Saturday, if you all watched the lecture here, the talk, the Saturday talk, it was in Portuguese, but it was translated. Fagundes described, and he made a great description of his experience observing a family of ducks, okay, passing by as he was doing his morning walk. And while he described the mother and her ducklings' relationship, as he perceived it in his, and I want to call it a mindful walk, I could feel the love and the grace as I pictured that image in my mind. And then I decided to do a mindful walk. So then, doing a mindful walk, I looked for some treasures of love in the nature around me, and I found some hidden beauties everywhere. And then I thought, nature represents the great love of God for us. Just look at these hidden flowers, tiny little flowers, and you can see them in these pictures the way they are now because I focused on them and I pictured them that way, but you couldn't see in the middle of that forest that I was. Okay, it's a beautiful park, by the way, in Coral Springs, and it has, like you go in this walkway, and you are in the middle of, you feel that you are in the middle of the forest. You can hear the birds and the little insects. It's beautiful. So, the variety of flowers that bloom for everyone to admire and smell their aroma. The birds that sing for all audiences to hear. The sun that shines on every corner without discrimination of any kind. This is the love of God. This is the unconditional love from the Creator, available to all of us. If we can just see them, smell them, hear them, feel and be mindful of their presence by just simply being present. And how about the people with whom we have relationships? Our family members, our friends, and some neutral people that one time or another shows us what love is. This talisman offers the discovery of the treasures of love that shine around us without our prompt awareness of their greatness. How many times do we get busy, and I'm saying to myself, busy doing so many other things, and especially now during this time that we're all at home, most of the times, right? I couldn't even think about a shoe to wear today to come here tonight, because to give my classes, to teach my students virtually, I don't need to care about what I'm wearing from my waist down, right? And so we get busy doing our things, being at home the whole time now. And we are all there, but many times we are not there for each other, right? So we're not seeing the beauty, we're not seeing the love that's around us. And by the way, those are my family members walking there in that path. When I looked at them and I took that picture, I filled my heart with gratitude for their lives. And I thought about this talisman. So let's move on to some more powers that this talisman has. It rekindles friendships. It unravels paths of light to the spirits that linger in the shadows. It allows blessed seedlings of joy. Now, I want you to notice that most of the accomplishments listed here of this superpower are not finite. Do you notice that? They are sort of starters. It rekindles friendships, but we need to work on maintaining those friendships, right? It unravels paths of light to the spirits that linger in the shadows. But we see the path, but we need to decide if we're going to follow that path of light. It upon us. It allows blessed seedlings of joy. Seedlings of joy is not the whole tree with the fruits. It's just the seedlings. We have to tender the seedlings. We need to plant them in good seed in our hearts. We need to water them every day. We need to appreciate each other every day. Let's think about that. So what is this talisman? I hope you're curious. If Jesus is not referring to an actual object with magic powers, why did he give an affirmative answer to that woman? We know that he said, "Let your yes be yes and your no be no." So it has to be yes, right? It's coming from Jesus. So I invite you to listen very attentively to the conclusion of the story. So Jesus continued, "Without this divine talisman, it is impossible to start any work of light and peace on earth." Oh my goodness. So I'm going to repeat. Without this divine talisman, it is impossible to start any work of light and peace on earth. This is the divine talisman. So the listeners' eyes exchanged expressions of astonishment when Zebedee's wife inquired, "Master, where can we get such a blessing? Tell us. We need such a maker of happiness." Christ then added with good humor, "This blessed talisman, Salome, is a common property for all." Okay. We can't start any work of light and peace on earth without this talisman, and we all have it. We all have it. It's a common property for all. So he continues. Pay attention to this. It is the hour we are going through. Every minute of our soul remains filled with prodigious healing power when we know how to use it in the infinite good. And I repeat, every minute of our soul remains filled with prodigious healing power when we know how to use it in the infinite good. This is so because every greatness and every mediocrity, every victory and every defeat is initiated with the collaboration of the day. Every minute of our soul remains filled with prodigious healing power when we know how to use it in the infinite good. What time is it? 8:30? As Jon Kabat-Zinn, a well-known author, mindfulness teacher, and a doctor, says, again, what time is it? Is it still 8:30? Is it 8:31 already? So it's now. The time is now. And when I ask you again, it might be 8:32, and it's going to be now. Okay, so then let's go back to Jesus. He concluded, in the face of everyone's perplexity, he concluded, time is the divine talisman that we must take advantage of. And then I was thinking to myself something that I heard before. The present is a present from God to us. The present time is the divine talisman. Every day when we wake up in the morning, we decide if we are going to make good choices that will benefit ourselves and others. Every day when we wake up in the morning, we decide if it's going to be Monday or Friday, or if it won't matter, because it's going to be today. And today is now. And now we are going to create happiness, forgiveness, compassion, and peace around us, no matter what the circumstances are. And that brings me to Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who lived in the horrors of the Nazi death camps. And he described in the book called Man's Search for Meaning, he affirmed in this book, which is a wonderful book, and I recommend, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way, and more. It is this spiritual freedom, which cannot be taken away, that makes life meaningful and purposeful. And he describes, like in the horror of war and all those horrible things happening to those men, and they were treated like nothing, like not human at all. And someone would keep a little crumb of bread, for the time that he would feel hungry later. Little crumb of bread, that they would just get bread and little, soup, but like watery soup. and then that someone would see someone suffering more than he was, and he would give that crumb to somebody else. That's the decision that we make at the time that we are in right now. So once again, let's remember Jesus' conclusion to the story. Every minute of our soul remains filled with prodigious hidden power when we know how to use it in the infinite good. Time is the divine talisman that we must take advantage of. Let's remember that. Thank you for your attention. It's right now, right? Time for reminders. And we are here working. Our Broward Spiritist Society is open to work. We are closed according to the situation that we're going through, but we are open to work. We are all working, doing what we can to continue providing the services that the house was open for. And so with this, oh, I click. All right, I thought Stephen was going to click. We continue with the meditation, okay? Every Tuesday at 7 p.m., Cynthia and Juan continues providing the meditation, the guided meditations for us. So, and now it's even more. Now she's providing, Cynthia is providing guided meditations in Portuguese and English. So before, when we would come here, we would have the guided meditation in English. And now we have both, Portuguese and English, okay? And it's very important to use our time for that, to give us this gift of time, of taking some time to know ourselves, to take deep breaths, and to be mindful, to learn how to be mindful of everything around us. That helps us develop ourselves spiritually and be more open and see things that we couldn't see before. Like maybe look at your family member, and instead of seeing just the bad things that we see, and criticizing, even if you don't speak up, criticizing inside yourself, you start seeing the good in them. And I'm not going to continue the talk right now, so let's go to. So another study that we do is in the realms of mediumship. Every Tuesday after the meditation at 8 p.m., they are online, just like the meditation. So the meditation, Cynthia provides the meditation, the guided meditation via YouTube. Okay, so you can find in our Broward Spiritist Society channel on YouTube, and also in the realms of mediumship, we do via Zoom. We do the studies via Zoom. And that's it. So let's just keep working on ourselves. And should I do the prayer? Okay. All right. So I'll do the prayer also. Please don't be tired of listening to my voice. Let's take a deep breath and anchor ourselves in the here and now. And imagine that we are in a simple place maybe close to nature, amongst friends. Let's imagine that conversation in Peter's house, those opportunities that the people who were living at that time had around Jesus, listening to his teachings. We could be one of them. And we can be one of them right now. We can listen to Jesus, to his teachings. And always remember to bring ourselves to the present moment. And as Jesus told us not to be concerned about the future, as he told us, look at the flowers in the field, look at the birds in the sky. If God gives all that he gives to them, what wouldn't he give to you? So thank you, God. Let's open our hearts and appreciate the treasures of love that we receive from God, his unconditional love. Help us, God. Help us, Jesus. And mentors, guardians of each one of us, so that we can see love in each other. We can see the light that's within each other. And we can better ourselves through this love. We ask the blessings of the good spirits to all the people who are watching tonight, to all the children in the world. We want at this time to send our good thoughts, as we know our thoughts are powerful, because we are co-creators and we can create the life that we want around us. So if we send love to everyone in this planet, to all the people who are in the hospitals, to all the children in the orphanages without parents, the children in the street begging, to all the people who are suffering. We know that our prayers can be answered. So thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. And with this, we ask permission to end our studies for tonight. So be it.